What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and today I've got for you guys even more Rise of Iron info from an interview. This is some really cool stuff coming from an interview by PlayStation Lifestyle at E3 with Scott Taylor from Bungie about the expansion. So this, in my opinion, is one of the best interviews that I've seen from E3. They've asked some really good questions and Bungie replied with some really good answers. It's mostly stuff that we've never known before. So as usual, I've gone through and picked out what I thought were some of the best and most interesting parts of the interview and what you guys would most want to know about. So make sure you stick around to the end because some of the last questions are the most interesting and give the best details. So the first question was along the same lines as I covered it in yesterday's video about year 3 of Destiny, and the question was, is Rise of Iron the beginning of year 3 for Destiny? So Scott Taylor from Bungie replied saying, well, it's the first major expansion since the Taken King, and that's pretty much all he said. So once again, that's kind of confirming that Bungie aren't really calling this year 3, it's just simply an expansion for Destiny. There isn't going to be a massive overhaul with year 2 to year 3, and it's pretty interesting they're not really carrying through that whole year naming system. So when talking about the Fallen and the Devil Splicers as the new enemy, he said the experience we want you to have with the Fallen is they look like Fallen but they're a bit different, and that carries over to how they're going to behave as well. You're going to think that you know how to fight this guy, and then he's going to do something that's going to surprise you. That's kind of vaguely talking about the Splicers as an enemy, and how they're going to have some tricks up their sleeve, and fighting them is going to be a little bit difficult. They're going to have new attacks, and they're going to do some weird things to kind of throw us off compared to the normal Fallen that we're used to fighting. I'm wondering what the new death animation will be when you headshot them. That's always one of the coolest things about Destiny. All the enemies have unique death animations when you headshot them. And the old Fallen, for example, their souls burst out when you blow their head off. So maybe with these Devil Splicers, like a bunch of Red Seaver stuff bursts out. I'm definitely looking forward to actually seeing how these Fallen actually fight and how much different they are to the Fallen that we've already known. So he then went on to actually confirm something pretty interesting, saying that the Taken King had the Spark of Light, which of course was a character boost for new players who have just picked up the game. And then he said in the Rise of Iron they're going to have something similar to that. So basically you can expect some kind of consumable to boost your light level. If you just picked up the game and you're level 0, you're going to have to boost your way to where you can actually play the Rise of Iron properly, and you won't be as far behind as you normally would. So it'll basically be the same as the Spark of Light in the Taken King. So next up, he was asked about cinematics and cutscenes in the Rise of Iron, and he was comparing it to the House of Wolves expansion, which he previously worked on. So he said, absolutely, that's another thing we didn't get to have in House of Wolves, where the star map and the CG piece, but in Rise of Iron, we're going to have all new in-game cinematics, so I'd expect something on the similar level to the Taken King, and that space fight was one of the best scenes we've ever had in Destiny, so I'm hoping for something similar to that. I think it'd be awesome if we got a cutscene, like a massive one, showing the Iron Lords actually in action, like fighting the Fallen, or maybe we get to see how they die when facing up against Siva, but it's definitely good to know we're getting some proper cinematics and cutscenes in the Rise of Iron. So the next question was asking basically what reason do we have to visit the new Felwinter Peak social space, and his response was saying the tower is not going away, it's still super relevant, but what we want to do is create a space that was really tied to the experience, and we have some cool things that we've never done in a social space before, which we're going to talk about later in the summer. This space really has a different tone to it, and the characters there care about what Saladin cares about. There's wolves there, which is cool, and it has just a different feel to it. It feels remote, it feels like it's settling in a place, and all the quests and stories for Rise of Iron are going to be filtering through that space. So it's pretty cool there will actually be live wolves roaming the social space, and they'll just be walking around there, I guess. I'll be disappointed if they put them all over the cover and the trailer, and we never actually get to see them, but I guess it'll be similar to the Queen's Guard and the Reef, how they kind of walk around, or how the civilians are there in the tower as well. This is going to be really cool to see these wolves roaming around the social space. This next part is what I think is probably one of the most interesting parts of the interview. He said there's no new subclasses, but there are things we're going to be talking about later in the summer that help enhance your power in a different way, and we're really excited about talking about that. So very interesting, very cryptic at the same time. I've no idea what they could be talking about. Maybe new perks inside the subclasses. Leave your comments and speculation down in the comment section. What do you think he means when he says enhance your power in a different way? This next question is asking about the actual time set of this expansion, and his response was saying that time has passed and we haven't done anything like this before as overtly, where the environment is different. It's clearly later on, it's in its own story though, and the adventure is focused on Lord Saladin and the Iron Lords, so I don't think of it in that way as a follow-on from the Taken King, but another side of the Destiny universe. So this is basically saying that Rise of Iron isn't actually a direct follow-on or sequel to the Taken King in terms of the linear story. It's not going to pick up where it left off, but it rather tells its own kind of separate story in just a different area of the Destiny universe. So it's almost like its own spin-off from where we were at initially with the main story, where we have like Eris and the Queen and what's happening now that Oryx is dead. I'd imagine they pick up from that story in the next expansion, or probably Destiny 2, which I think is more likely. Next up, they were talking about the patrol areas in the Plaguelands. He said there's going to be new patrol missions and also brand new public events, which is pretty cool to hear. We have the Taken Zealot events and the Taken King, but those weren't actually public events, so I'm looking forward to see what these new actual public events are and what we have to do in them. So he said there's a bunch of really neat, unique to Plaguelands events. I don't want to spoil for everyone just yet. There's some really neat things in there. That to me sounds like there's some kind of different events, different to public events, but probably similar to the things that go on the Dreadnought. And on that similar topic, they also said you're going to stumble across all kinds of secrets. We did that a lot on the Taken King, and we're going to continue to do that, which personally for me is amazing news. That's definitely one of the best things I've heard. Like I've said before, I think the secrets in the Dreadnought, one of the best things about the expansion. It was really, really well done. They had the Skyburners codes, which correspond to chests. They had the Wernsinger's runes, which corresponded to keys, the Agonarch runes, and also a bunch of secret chests to open in different ways. And I thought those are really well done and one of the best additions to Patrol. And he basically said we're going to continue to do that, which is awesome news. So then he was asked about the size and scale of the Plaguelands. He said it's large, there's a lot of new real estate there, and it's very different to the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought was very interior in space, which is awesome, but the Plaguelands, we wanted it to feel vast. So when you come out to it first, you'll witness the Plaguelands, you'll see this amazing skybox, and shows you all the places you can go. I would describe it as a substantial new zone. It's meaty, it's nice. He then went on to say that if you click on Earth, you'll see a much bigger and changed map, with the Plaguelands being added on the right side. So then he was asked about one of his favourite things in the new expansion, and Scott Taylor responded saying that we're not talking about PvP much right now, but the new mode that we're going to be adding and letting those guys talk about, they're really proud of it, and as they should be. When he says they, he's talking about the PvP team, who are eventually going to reveal this new mode, but he said he's really excited for it. He went on to say that it's really, really fun. So it makes me think it's going to be some kind of mode that's more fun and crazy than maybe like a standard capture the objective mode, but it sounds like maybe it's going to be something like Mayhem in the sense that it's crazy. He said it's really, really fun. So finally, he was rounding up the Rise of Iron expansion as a whole, and he went over some of the basic points like Patrol, Strikes, Raid. When he got to PvP, he said, the PvP stuff I think will make people very, very happy. So he said very twice, and that's pretty interesting in itself. Maybe he's hinting at custom games. I can't think of anything else that would make people very, very happy. The only thing I can think of is private matches or custom games. So let me know in the comment section what you think he's hinting to, but apparently PvP players are going to be very, very happy. So that is it for the interview and everything I could pull from it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a comment down below with your thoughts on everything I've discussed. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you want to read the full interview for yourself, I'll leave a link to it in the description, of course. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.